Now, as I mentioned last night with Jim Molan, there are allegations of an ugly episode in the seat of Paterson, covering Maitland and the Lower Hunter region of New South Wales. The Liberal candidate there has lodged a complaint with the New South Wales Police alleging she was assaulted by a Labor volunteer at a pre-poll booth. Brooke Vitnell says a Labor volunteer threw two of her campaign signs to the ground, scraping her hand along the way while abusing her with vile and threatening language. It's not the first time that Brooke has been targeted. There's male genitalia has been graffitied on at least one of her campaign signs, and she's been targeted by trolls on Facebook, calling her I hate to use the word, calling her a slut and a bimbo with no brains, which is kind of tautologist when you think about it. But one troll said, good looking with no brains, make a good secretary. And another, I won't vote for any major party, but I would subscribe to your OnlyFans page. It's just disgusting, sexist, vile stuff. Brooke joins me now from a pre-poll booth in East Maitland. Thanks very much for joining us, Brooke. Tell us firstly about that incident and your complaint to police. Has there been any movement on that? Have the police taken any action?
Hi Chris, it's wonderful to join you and your listeners. Look, I've had a disgusting campaign here in the seat of Paterson. Things have been very grubby for a number of weeks now, but it certainly culminated in the weekend prior to pre-poll voting, where we had up to 800 signs stolen, vandalised, slashed. I've had a very ugly altercation with a Labor volunteer on Sunday, once setting up a pre-poll station again. Obviously, there is jockeying for signs during pre-poll, but this Labor volunteer, when I was putting up a sign, has staked my hand, putting a sign in front of my sign so close while I was zip tying my own that I've been injured and obviously has drawn blood. I've obviously gone to the New South Wales Police and there is an active investigation into this. This Labor volunteer then proceeded to follow me around for 18 minutes, making degrading comments, slurs, and saying a lot of obscene profanities, which I won't repeat for your viewers, but it was designed to intimidate and threaten me, and obviously would be designed to sort of see me bow out and not knuckle down or be intimidated, but all it does is make me double down harder, Chris.
Well, there are a lot of good people from all parties involved in these pre-polls and volunteers, and they're the salt of the earth when it comes to political campaigns. Have you had support from other people, other Labor volunteers, distancing themselves from that behaviour?
I will make note on volunteers. Look, obviously pre-poll is very difficult. There are 2 weeks and a lot of your volunteers are friends and family. And I'd like to make note that Labor members and volunteers have also been targeting my own pre-poll volunteers, family. My mother has been victim to Labor volunteers walking up to her while she's been alone at a quiet period and making disgusting slurs to my own mother, again to threaten and intimidate. This behaviour is absolutely obscene. And what's been very disappointing is that the Labor federal member here has been silent on all of these terrible actions to date that are occurring on pre-poll. And I think that is absolutely disgusting, Chris.
Yeah, it should be called out. Now, there's a lot of toing and froing in hotly contested seats around the country about signs being pulled down and vandalised and all that. And I tend not to cover too much of it because a lot of it is fairly inconsequential. But what worries me about what's happened to you is something we've looked at a lot on this program, and that is the way conservative women are repeatedly targeted in a sexist, vile way. You only need to look at the example of Nicole Flint to see how this plays out. Have you got support from the party? There must be others who understand. I just don't know what drives this, but any female conservative is targeted in this way, and then the leftist parties say, you know, you haven't got enough women in Parliament. Well, they're trying to drive women away from conservative parties.
Chris, that is absolutely what is happening here. Look, I have received support from the party, from the president of our New South Wales Women's Council. Nicole Flynn herself has touched in with me as well, as she's seen what has been happening here in Paterson for a long time. So I feel very supported. But you're quite right. The Liberal National Government have previously been pilloried by the left for not having enough women in the party room or running for Parliament. And now it's the left that are attacking those very conservative women that have put their hand up to represent their communities. And I think that's the height of hypocrisy, and it's very typical of the left, Chris.
Well, Brooke, thanks for joining us. I know it's tough, so good luck for the rest of the campaign, and let's hope all of that sort of stuff is just put to bed.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks to you and your viewers.